Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the Mafex, the Terminator T-800. This is the Terminator from the first film, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the first Terminator film is my personal favorite of the franchise. I know, T2 is the most popular opinion, but the music, the style, the noir feeling of the first one is low budget and so well made. I'm a little bit burned out on T2 as a whole. I've seen that thing a million times over the years. I ordered this figure from AmeAme.com. If you're ordering your Mafex figure from a place like Big Bad Toy Store or an American website, you're probably paying far too much. They cost more, and they take longer to get them. Check out AmeAme. I'll put a link in the description below. So let's take a look at the packaging. As you can see at the top, Mafex. This is the 176th figure of the Mafex line. The Terminator T-800 Terminator version by Medicom Toys. Here he is in the package. Looks like we have a bunch of hands, a bunch of guns, and then 3 alternate heads. One side of the package, the Terminator T-800. Other side, here he is posed up. On the back, you can see all the different interchangeable parts, different display options, and a bunch of guns. At the bottom, got a bunch of credits, and there is a barcode in case it helps anybody. So, with no further ado, let's open him up. Alright, now that we got this figure out of the package, here he is with all his accessories laid out, and he comes with quite a bit of cool stuff. He has the display stand, 8 alternate hands, totaling 10 interchangeable hands, 3 heads, 2 pistols, a shotgun, and a couple of machine guns. But before we take a look at those, let's talk about and check out the actual figure. So this is the Terminator from the first film, the T-800. Played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, and like I said before, it is my favorite of the 6 Terminator films. So let's take a look. Start with his head here. Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's got his hair sort of pushed up a little bit, sunglasses, that mean expression, very serious, emotionless, like the machine. He's got the leather jacket, collar popped up, looks very nice. You can see the buckles, the straps down here. He's got a gray t-shirt underneath. Looks like double jointed elbows. Pants look good. I think they're cargo pants. He's got some black boots. Kind of interesting. One has a chain here. One has a little bit different sort of buckles and chain accessories. Overall, very nice looking figure. Very nice overall thug and punk. And a very nice T-800. And just a closer look at his face and head sculpt. And here's the figure broken down as far as he can go, with all of his removable parts detached. Now let's check out his accessories, and let's start off with the display stand. Here's his display stand. It comes in a ton of different pieces. When you put the main part together, it's going to look like this. It's got the flat transparent base, then it has this post you can put into any of the 3 different holes. It has rotation at the bottom, it's hinge at the bottom, hinge in the middle, hinge at the top, rotation at the top, and a clamp to hold your figure. Now let's look at his hands. He has a total of 10 of them, 5 right hands and 5 left hands. Here he is with his first pair of hands. These are his fists. Then his next pair of hands. These are some gripping hands with trigger fingers, arguably his most important hands. And here's his next pair of hands. Some pretty open hands. Not exactly sure what the purpose of these are. Then here's his 4th pair of hands. These hands look kind of normal, could look good relaxed at his sides. They're a little bit curled with the fingers. They might be able to hold something kind of large. And here's his final pair of hands. These are his most normal hands. These ones would look good relaxed at his sides. Now let's look at his heads. He has 3 of them. One with the sunglasses on, one with the sunglasses off, and with some battle damage exposing the metal underneath. Here he is with his first head. This one has the sunglasses on. Here's the second head. This one has no sunglasses, and the younger Arnold likeness is great. And here's his final head. This one has the battle damage. You can see the T-800 exoskeleton underneath. Damage looks very nice. Now for his arsenal. He's got 2 machine guns, a shotgun, and 2 pistols. One with a red scope, and one is a revolver. Here's the Terminator holding the revolver, pointing it right at you. And here he is, holding a pistol with a scope at the top. This is what he killed the first Sarah Connor with in the film. And these next three weapons are all from the police assault scene in the film. Here's Arnold, holding the shotgun. He's got the trigger finger and the trigger, and then another hand supporting and holding the pump. And here he is, holding his last two guns. These are both rapid-fire machine guns. I believe he held them both at the same time in the film. Now that I've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his accessories, now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, he's staying at about 6.3 inches tall, which can translate to about 16 centimeters. Now for his articulation. Starting with his head here, of course you can rotate from side to side. Can't look up very much, just straight ahead. Down quite a bit though. Can tilt his head from one side to the other. He has articulation at the top of the neck and the bottom of the neck. Very wide range of motion there. Shoulders goes out about this far, not quite 90 degrees. It's a ball joint. He's got the drop down shoulders. They look bad like this, but push them back up just increases the range of motion. His hips are like that as well. He's got a butterfly joint there that gives a pretty good amount of rotation. It offsets no bicep cut. Double jointed elbows, they go in that far, pretty nice. His wrist can rotate, and it's going to be hinged. In his torso, he's got a ball joint. Rotate around, forward and back. Another ball joint in his waist. Rotate around, forward and back. Pretty good range of motion here. You get a lot more out of the waist than you do the torso. Legs go about this far. Also ball joints. He's got the drop down hips. They look really bad like this, but push them back up. It just allows way more articulation. Go forward about that far. Back not very much. Double jointed knees go back that far. Then he's got a little bit of rotation in the knee. Leg forward and back. Tilt rock. Rotate. Here's the Terminator walking into a police station. He asks the sergeant at the counter if he can see Sarah Connor. The sergeant tells him he can have a seat and wait. Closer look at the police officer at the reception desk. The Terminator looks right at him and says, "I'll be back." The Terminator proceeds to go into his vehicle. He drives it right through the front doors, and then he begins his assault on the police station. He gets out of his car. 2 guns, weapons blazing, killing everything in sight. He's got one mission: get and kill Sarah Connor. The Terminator is going through the police station, killing cop after cop after cop. They can't even hide behind the desk. He has machine accuracy. And finally, here's the Terminator standing on a body of dead police officers. Nothing will stand between him and Sarah Connor. Now let's check him out next to some other action figures. Starting off with some other Terminator figures, Arnold Schwarzenegger figures, some other Mafex figures, and then some other action figures from different various companies. Here's this Mafex Police Assault T-800 from the first Terminator film, next to the NECA version. This is the original version. Mafex 6-inch scale, NECA 7-inch scale. And here he is, next to NECA's Ultimate Police Assault T-800. It's the same figure, but they enhanced his leg articulation. Actually gave him some. Here are all 3 versions of both Mafex and NECA's Police Assault T-800. Love that figure. Works great for the Terminator. He also works great for a generic thug, henchman, biker gang member, something like that. And here he is, next to both of NECA's Tech Noir, Arnold Schwarzenegger T-800 figures. I'd be surprised if Mafex doesn't make one of these, but the Police Assault is definitely the most ideal version of the T-800 from the first Terminator film. Then, next to a couple of NECA T-800 figures without skin on. These figures could actually be from any of the films. Here's the Terminator, next to Kyle Reese. It's the only other character the NECA made for this first Terminator film, besides the actual Terminator. Always wished they'd give us Sarah Connor from the first film, but I realize she's kind of a boring looking figure, just a regular clothes figure, and that's right up my alley. And now, next to all the different NECA figures they've made from the first Terminator film. A few varieties of the T-800 and Kyle Reese. It would have been really nice if they gave us Sarah Connor, or maybe Kyle Reese in his future gear. I would love some of those cops, but I know that's never going to happen. Still, pretty cool collection. Definitely Sarah Connor's the biggest omission. Here he is, next to a few different T-800 Arnold figures from Terminator 2 Judgment Day. These are from NECA. The one on the left is the original release, and the ones on the right are the ultimate release with the increased articulation. I did have some extra Arnold Schwarzenegger figures. A lot of them came with 2 heads. So I bought a bunch of T-1000 figures to army build my police force, and threw a couple of these heads on there. The sunglasses kind of makes it work. Then, with a couple of NECA T-800 Arnold Schwarzenegger figures from Terminator Genesis, both the younger and the older version. And now, with a couple more NECA T-800 Arnold figures. These are from Terminator Dark Fate, and I did some head swaps on a few extra T-800 figures that I had, just to make some extra random characters, background characters, biker gang members, whatever for my collection. Just made some use of extra fodder pieces. Here's this Mafex figure next to a NECA Arnold figure from Commando. And here he is, next to a custom Governor. This is Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Governor of California. I used a large, big Triple H wrestling figure body and put an older Arnold Schwarzenegger head on there. Worked pretty good for me. Once again, just made with extra stuff for my fodder pile. And then, here he is next to all of my NECA Dutch figures from Predator. The one on the far left is from the arcade game and doesn't have the Arnold Schwarzenegger likeness, but a whole bunch more NECA Arnold figures. Here are all of my different Arnold Schwarzenegger action figures. Most of them are different figures. I believe I've got one duplicate of a Dutch Predator figure, one duplicate of the T2 T-800, and then the custom-made Arnold as Governor. There's also the duplicate from Terminator Dark Fate. Besides that, they're really all different releases. Now let's check them out. Next to some other Mafex figures. Here he is, next to John Wick, Butcher, Galahad, and Eggsy from Kingsman. Then, next to Mafex, Jonathan Crane, Harvey Dent, and a couple of Bruce Waynes. And now, next to some Mafex Batman figures. Here's the Mafex Terminator, next to some Mafex Batman villains. And finally, here he is, next to some female Mafex figures. Here's the Terminator, next to a DC Direct, Batman the Animated Series, Hard Act Batman. Just like the Terminator, it's a robot with human flesh on the outside. And here he is, next to a couple of Sylvester Stallone figures, from both Rambo and the Expendables. Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger were probably the 2 most popular action heroes from the 80s. Now let's check him out, next to some action figures from different various companies, to see how he fits in both scale and style-wise, in case you have no lines you can mix him with. Since he's a Mafex figure, they're typically the 6-inch scale. I want to start off my comparisons with some of the smaller action figure lines I collect, and work my way larger. Here he is, next to some Jazzwares Fortnite figures. And here he is, next to some SH Figure Arts action figures. Then, here's this Terminator, next to a box of Kroger chicken broth. And here he is, next to some Hasbro Marvel Legends. Then, next to some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse figures. And here he is, next to some Mezco 112 collective figures. And now, with some Jazzwares AEW wrestlers. Then, next to some Mattel wrestling figures. And here he is, standing with some NECA figures. Then, next to some DC Direct and DC Collectibles figures. And now, with some McFarlane toys. And here he is, next to some DST or Diamond Select toys. And finally, next to some Jakks Pacific wrestling figures. Overall, it's a very nice Mafex figure, and it's also a great Terminator 1984 figure. His articulation is pretty good, shoulders should be a little bit better, the accessories are fantastic, sculpt and paint job are excellent, no issues there. If I were to rate this guy, I'd give him a 7.5 out of 10. Maybe I'm lowballing him a little bit. Really do like this figure, but I personally prefer the NECA Ultimate version. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will talk to you guys real soon.